Hello, everybody. My name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we're going to be talking about Bart Barber selling out and appearing at the same conference that David French and Russell Moore are appearing at because, again, they wouldn't have him there if he were a legit Christian defender of Christian values. They wouldn't have him there if he were that because the liberals exercise some monicum of discernment. Now, they don't have scruples for who their guests are. They got Jeffrey Toobin there after all, but Bart Barber has made the cut. I assume he's getting an honorarium. It would be worse if he weren't getting an honorarium because then he'd just be a slut. So we're going to talk about Bart Barber's appearance there and how he's there to tell the world that Christian nationalism is bad and stuff, and he's going to be the conservative Christian voice opposing Christian nationalism at this liberal communist convention in Austin, Texas. So we're going to get into that. It's a follow-up from yesterday's story where we talked about Russell Moore and David French doing an event there. And we're going to talk about Bart Barber now. So Evangelical Dark Web is a Christian news gathering and commentary ministry. You can support us over at evangelicaldarkweb.org/join, linked in the description below. I'm going to get into a little bit of theology here as it relates to the Baptist faith and message. So, article today is Bart Barber whores himself to liberal media, and this is in reference to the Texas Tribune Festival in Austin, Texas. The Texas Tribune is perhaps the worst newspaper in the state of Texas, which is a pretty large and significant state, so that's saying something. It's either them or Houston Chronicle, but Texas Tribune tends to have the best social media presence. And this is basically a who's who of liberal media convention. So I want to actually talk about Bart Barber's past appearances with the liberal media. As president of the Southern Baptist Convention, he gets invited to things like 60 Minutes. So he got invited on 60 Minutes on CBS and talked there. And he went full blue and on there. Now, I will say that he did decent on the life issue. He didn't do so bad on the gay issue either, but he went full blue and on and claimed that Donald Trump put Mike Pence's life in danger, which is a very effeminate view of January 6th. And that's just peddling a liberal narrative that is nowhere near reality. And then there's a lot of other liberal stuff going on at this convention. We can showcase some of the main speakers, which include Katie Couric, James Carville, Larry Hogan, and Karl Rove. There's another fake conservative there. Tim Miller of The Bulwark, another fake conservative outlet. We also got to talk again about Jeffrey Toobin, who was ran out of the liberal media for his inappropriate activities on a Zoom call. I don't think Bart Barber is going to Austin, Texas to give him a tugboat because he's not that kind of whore. He's the whore that will sell out the church for money in this case and for being liked because people really want to be liked at the end of the day. Bart Barber definitely painted, again, he's all about doing the liberal narrative for the liberal media. Especially, you look at his appearance on 60 Minutes, it was all about painting the Southern Baptist Convention as a hive of sex abuse and sex abuse cover-ups, which statistically does not, bear out. And if you also read the Sex Abuse Task Force report, didn't find any new, previously unreported instances. It instead attacks people like Paige Patterson for not believing hard enough a dubious case, a dubious victim claim. He didn't believe that hard enough, so therefore, must run him out of town. So it relitigated a lot of that. By the way, Paige Patterson won his lawsuit, by the way, on that case. So this is a panel that Bart Barber is doing. It's called God and Country, the Pernicious Rise of Christian Nationalism. And he is on this panel with three other commies. You got Anthea Butler, who's a professor. You got Amanda Tyler, who's the executive director, and she's like part of this organization called Christians Against Christian Nationalism, which sounds really gay. And it's moderated by Robert Dowen, a democracy reporter. I believe, for the Texas Tribune. So this is a very liberal event, very blue-haired feminist kind of event. And Bart Barber is surprisingly the most rational voice on that platform, on that panel. He's going to be the voice of reason, and that's a bad thing to have. Like, imagine going into a, say a pro-life conversation where Brent Leatherwood is the most conservative voice on that issue. You're not going to have a real biblical position articulated. Bart Barber is the liberal president of the Southern Baptist Convention. He was elected by the liberals, and he has governed liberally. He has appointed liberals to all these committees, especially his baby, the Abuse Reform Implementation Task Force, which is loaded with liberals like Mike Keobone. It used to have Todd Benkirk on it, who's in the meme, by the way. That's the thumbnail for this video. That's Todd Benkirk that he's kissing. That's just a weird image. The meme makes itself, to be honest. So Bart Barber tweets about this event. This should be fun. Now, I don't think it'll be very fun at all. It's, again, going to be a blue-haired feminist thing. And then Joshua Abatoy, who's a definite friend and I believe a prominent figure in the Christian nationalist movement, says this is an excellent opportunity for you to tell a watching world that our public square would be far more just if Christianity informed our principles of justice. I'll actually pull open the tweet. Informed our principles of justice, since anyone who attempts to project who attempts that project will be labeled a Christian nationalist. You aren't going to waste time carrying their water for them by attacking so-called Christian nationalism. And that, I guess that's a question. He doesn't put a question mark on the end of that. And Bart Barber says, I assure you that all my remarks will align completely with the teachings of Scripture as expressed in the Baptist Faith and Message, which is the sole articulation of the positions of the Southern Baptist Convention regarding these questions. And Megan Basham responded to this. I think the question is whether they will reflect Christian nationalism as its opponents would define it, not in the way that the secularists who might want to use it for scaremongering would define it, because misrepresenting what Christian brothers mean when they talk about it in front of unbelievers would obviously be an issue. I have no problems critiquing it. It just has to be done in good faith, and that title, perniciousness, sure seems to suggest that that's not the aim. And she's absolutely right about that. Megan Basham is the host of the Morning Wire, which is one of the top podcasts over on the Daily Wire, and also works for the Daily Wire. But she's one of the good guys over at the Daily Wire, not one of the bad guys over there. So anyway, back to the article. So he brings up the Baptist Faith and Message. Let's read Article 15 of the Baptist Faith and Message on the Christian and social order. All Christians are under the obligation to seek to make the will of Christ supreme in our own lives and in human society. Means and methods used for the improvement of society and establishment of righteousness among men can be truly and permanently helpful only when they are rooted in the regeneration of the individual by the saving grace of God in Jesus Christ. In the spirit of Christ, Christians should oppose racism, every form of greed, selfishness, and vice, and all forms of sexual immorality, including adultery, homosexuality, and pornography. We should work to promote or provide for the orphan, the needy, the abused, the aged, the helpless, and the sick. We should speak on behalf of the unborn and contend for the sanctity of all human life from conception to natural death. Every Christian should seek to bring industry, government, and society as a whole under the sway of the principles of righteousness, truth, and brotherly love. In order to promote these ends, Christians should be ready to work with all men of good will in any good cause, always being careful to act in the spirit of love without compromising their loyalty to Christ and his truth. So this was written in 2000, and it is a pretty solid statement for 2000's level of political thinking. So, got to give the Baptist Faith and Message some credit. This paragraph right here is one of the biggest strengths of the Baptist Faith and Message. It's not a perfect document by any means. It's widely interpreted to articulate that Baptists have always believed in, say, religious freedom for pagan religions. That's not always been a Baptist belief, but it is the prevailing modern belief with Baptists. But it's not rooted historically outside of, Roger Williams in the 1925 Baptist Faith and Message, which belongs in the trash, quite frankly. So, Baptist Faith and Message, vast improvement from its predecessors, and this paragraph was largely edited from the 60s version, and it's one of the biggest strengths of it. So, yet despite this is what the BFM says. Bart Barber has been vocally opposed to pro-life efforts, supporting the ERLC, who opposed pro-life legislation in states like Louisiana, although he was solid on the issue when interviewed by 60 Minutes. Again, worth noting. The fact that Bart Barber is the least liberal panelist there to represent a Christian position will likely mean that he will participate in an attempt to demonize Christians over a secondary issue as violent. The word pernicious, which is in the subtitle for the panel, is defined as trending towards danger or great harm. Bart Barber is not a Christian nationalist and is currently the liberal president of the Southern Baptist Convention. It appears he may think the Baptist Faith and Message is opposed to Christian nationalism more strongly than it is opposed to female pastors. In any case, Bart Barber is going to the panel designed to attack Christianity and is not positioned to defend the church. This is selling out in a similar way as Russell Moore did when he appeared in the Zuckerberg NGO, attempting to convince churches to become jab sites. Remember that video back in 2021? Assuming Bart Barber is getting an honorarium, he'd be merely a slut if he weren't. This is disgraceful. This is a disgraceful appearance for the SBC president. I mean, this is selling out. This is being a whore. This is being a big Eva whore. And again, Bart Barber's probably not used to this because, again, he's from a small church in Texas. He lives in Texas, which gives him an advantage to speak at this conference. But nonetheless, Bart Barber is a liberal, weak-minded pastor, terrible leader for the SBC, and he's going to be a terrible witness on this panel. Book it. So anyway, that's all I got to say for that. My name is Ray. This is the Evangelical Dark Web. If you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and if you don't, like anyway. Anyway, have a blessed day. We'll catch you on the next one.